And welcome to another update. In this one, I'm back on my old map as I have finally had the time to update it. And as we can see here, the Russian forces have been advancing on the whole front in Bakhmut. Most recently, they have advanced in this northern sector where they've captured most of these areas here to the north, as well as capturing both train stations and crossing the railway in this northern area right here, both in the northern area southwards and westwards from the central area by both train stations. And they're also advancing here to the south, where they're moving northwards from their current positions, trying to enclose these areas by going from the north and the south, which has made the Ukrainians withdraw from the eastern parts, according to the latest updates by Syriac maps, which means that the Russian forces are now very close on capturing everything east of the railway, which according to Remy, they have already done. So essentially the east of the railway has been completely captured by the Russian forces. So the current situation is that the Ukrainian forces have two fortified positions and two very significant supply lines. So the main fortified position by the Ukrainian forces is this residential area here in the west, where there's many high-rise buildings, and I've been talking about this for a while. Then we have to the northeast of that, we have this area here, which according to some of my comments who corrected me on my last video, this is not an industrial zone, but it is a military complex where there's been a lot of military stuff going on for many years. So it's very heavily fortified, and the Ukrainian forces are using that as a defensive line, which explains the Russian advance here to the north of that position. So the Ukrainian forces essentially fell back to this area as they tried to improve their situation and use the fortified positions rather than the residential areas. So now the Russian forces are looking at two targets, the northern supply line by Khomove and the southern supply line towards Ivanivske. So the Ukrainian forces are using these positions as very fortified positions to essentially protect the flanks of these central positions, which are the main positions of the Ukrainian forces. So most Ukrainian troops are in the center where they are fortified and they are trying to hold back the Russian forces. And at the same time, they've sent a lot of reinforcements to the northern and southern flanks to ensure that their supply lines stay protected. So the Russian forces are now looking to advance from the southern direction and the northern direction, all to reach the supply lines here in the west and the north and the southwest. So the Russian forces are looking to cut off the final areas. So a lot of fighting has intensified by the flanks, by Khomove, Bohdanivka, and Ivanivske. And they are also within the city attacking towards these supply lines. However, the Ukrainians are putting heavy pressure on them as they manage to recapture this part in the southern parts. So essentially the Russian forces are looking to cut off the final supplies in and out of Bakhmut, and at the same time they want to physically cut off all roads in and out of the city, and then they will starve out the remaining Ukrainian defenders in these residential areas in the center. Because of the high number of Ukrainian soldiers, their stockpiles of ammunition and food will not last too long. So that is what the Russians are aiming for. And that is all for this update. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.